Hello everyone, this is Joanna. Thank you so much for coming back. These are going to be your messages for the month of February 2019. Happy Valentine's Day for those of you who are celebrating. Very interesting energies. Majority of the signs, if not everyone that I've done, has had a lot of information about how to heal our hearts. And my intention is, as always, and I will repeat this again, my intention is to help you see certain things perhaps that you were not able to see before, and to help you perhaps recognize certain thought patterns. My passion is to help you think differently about yourself so that you can align yourself more in terms of abundance. So what a beautiful time to talk about healing our hearts, because February, traditionally speaking, is considered to be the month of love, at least in North America. So there's a lot of information on what might be tripping you up, how you are holding yourself hostage, what makes you stuck in your own inner prison, and what are some of the things that you can do in order to shift and change that, in order to attract love, abundance, prosperity, health, whatever it may be. So in some of the signs, there were exercises that were given to you from spirit, so you might want to listen to the other signs. At the end of the day, keep in mind that we all have attributes of all the signs. So if you're drawn to a certain sign that you're not necessarily one, just listen to your intuition and see if there's anything you can gain from there. At the end of the day, my aim is to help and enlighten you in a way that allows you to become a much more empowered being. With that said, if there is anything that doesn't make sense to you when you listen to it, do listen to it again down the road. I always say these messages will make sense to high majority of you as time goes on. The messages that I give, or the information that comes through, is very much relating to everything that we all experience, human condition. So you may be drawn to a different sign that you're not necessarily listening to, but something inside you says, hey, listen to it. You listen to it, and boom, that's your situation. Anyway, thank you so much for liking, for sharing, for subscribing. Do let me know how these messages connect with you. I am using a different camera this time, so some of the messages, you'll notice I'm switching between two different cameras. The angles are different on my camera, so sometimes I look in different places, and if that's the case, my apologies. I am not used to this this new equipment yet, so it may not be as smooth as I wanted to, so just bear with me. As time goes on, I will perfect it. Again, thank you so much. I wish you best of luck for, of course, for private sessions. For private sessions, that information is down below for you. And if you would like to see the longer projections for 6 months, that information is down below for you on Vimeo. Thank you again so much. My name is Joanna the Medium. I wish you a wonderful month of February, and let's get going. Hello, beautiful Virgos. These are going to be your messages for the month of February 2019. I almost said 2014. So I wonder if 2014 was a year if the year 2014 is very symbolic in terms of you having gone through some sort of a completion. And so this is not going to be for a lot of you, maybe even 5 of you. Notice if if 2014 was somehow a pivotal year for you. And the reason why I feel this is being brought up is because whatever that was for you, I feel like you are, I don't want to say continuing or completing again. There's some kind of familiarity between 2014, particularly in October, and what is transpiring now. And I feel for a lot of you, it has to do a lot with an advancement or a new career or a completely different path that you're taking, or starting a new path. I want to say path. This is definitely a path. As a matter of fact, I am being shown a vision that represents to me you are being led you are being led, and something inside you is leading you, but you don't know where it's leading you. I also feel that in your not too distant past, you either had to walk away from something or you left something behind. You moved on from something that no longer served you. There may have been a disappointment. This is not something that will happen. This is something that I feel has happened in the past or not too distant past. Having said that, what I want to say is that for a majority of you, it's going to feel, the month of February is very indicative of being a month of renewal. As a matter of fact, I am hearing this and I'm looking at the symbol of star in a traditional tarot deck, which is the number 19. 1 and 9 is 19 or 18? 18. 1 and 8 is 9. 9 is letting go. So very symbolic of, again, completion and starting something new. But I do feel whatever that is for you, I don't feel it's here yet. I feel there are circumstances that are beginning to form in such a way that you will begin to either believe where you're going, believe in something, and then you go for it. That's interesting. Or things will become much more clear to you. The month of May comes up. I also feel 2017 for some of you is somehow connected to this as well. So that's very interesting because I don't get this type of information too often in general message like this. So 2014, October of 2014 is being referenced, and also 2017 and the month of May, or May 2017. What is proclamation? Okay, I'm gonna have to look that up. This is where things get fun. Proclamation. I guess when you proclaim something, what does proclamation mean? Is proclamation you owning some kind of an idea? I'm actually going to have to think about that. I'm going to have to look it up. Okay, so word proclamation is coming with the exclamation mark, and that means it's something important. So notice if that means anything to you or if that word strikes a chord, but it's very symbolic for something. All right? Now, what are we leaving behind? 3 cards came up and I felt I needed to leave them, and they tell me a story. So first and foremost, I'm going to show you the cards that come up, and then I'll tell you what I get from them. Justice in reverse, 3 of coins in reverse, and 6 of swords. This is what you are leaving, or what is leaving you, or what you have left behind. So once again, I got out of breath for a moment and I listened if there was a message there. Some of you are running out of breath. You're way too busy, so you need to slow down. Okay, that's going to be a message for those of you who know what I'm talking about. All right, so yes, some of you moved on from something because you have a lot of swords here. A lot of it is mental. Now, in all fairness, it is our thoughts and our mental faculty that causes a lot of beautiful moments, but also sometimes causes things that don't feel so good. In other words, our mental state creates our emotions. Yes, our emotions create our mental state. So there's a loop here. What I'm trying to say is that some of you have left something behind. You might have resisted this for a while, but you eventually decided to pull a plug on something, mentally speaking. That is, you are no longer engaged mentally with something that has preoccupied you in the past, or you have physically moved on from something that wasn't serving you, or you made a choice or decision that it just wasn't for you anymore. I do feel that for some of you, there might have been some regret with this. Again, this is not something that's happening, I don't feel. This is something that has happened or is already in the process of happening. You are in the process of leaving. But for most of you, this is past. So that energy, the 6 of swords, which is you leaving something behind, generally there's regret with it, is what is leaving you, what the energy is. I also feel that some of you are approaching you're near end of something. You're approaching an end of something, and you will have to make a choice effectively it will put you in a place of transition, the space between one space and the other space. That may create some conflict in your mind. Anyway, let me just continue with this. So if there is something in your life that you are not, if there is something in your life that's not working, if there is some tradition, for example, that you have adhered to as a basic example, and you decide, what's the point of all of this? It makes no sense. You may let go of something like that. But for majority of you, this is letting go of a situation. Because the Three of Coins showed up, it tells me that you left something because there was lack of cooperation. Perhaps you didn't feel the same as before and you decided to move on. Or something that was working for you for a while somehow turned on its head. There's something topsy-turvy happening. This is in the past. This could also be some kind of a conflict that you had at work with somebody, or in a relationship for that matter, because it is a physical energy. It's the earth energy. It's symbolic for things that we have, physical things. There is a sense of disappointment. The Justice in reverse, well, it's self-explanatory. Something was, well, unjust. Something was out of balance. Something just, well, this is when it's perfect balance. This is when it's out of balance. Clearly, we are either leaving or you just have left something that was out of whack. Again, I hear the word disappointment. I don't want to belabor this because this is leaving you. So there's no point talking about it too much. So what might you be experiencing in February? Well, again, you are in transit. You are in transition. Therefore, it is actually quite appropriate that the Two of Swords would show up. Well, what this is saying here is that you might feel, and I feel for some of you, this is financial responsibility that you need to make some choices or decisions about, and you are not sure which way to go. For some of you, there is a confusion. It could be a confusion about the situation that you just left, or a confusion, what's next, what's after. You may have left a relationship may have left you. I feel it is you who have left for the most part. However, for some of you, this is something that has an energy that has left you. What I do see is, I'll be honest, a sense of confusion. However, I don't feel it's going to last very long. Yes, I don't feel it's going to last very long. And I'm also hearing a lot of it has to do with ambition. I feel many of you are terminating something, or in the process of terminating something, or you have recently terminated something and you are moving on, or you are moving on and on your own. That could be job, that could be your own business, that could be clearly a relationship. It is financial, but it's also family connection and relationship. But there's some sense of confusion in the month of February. Why might you be confused? Well, you may not know what to do with the situation. You may not know what to do in terms of commitment, in terms of committing yourself to something new, or the commitment you just left. What else could be causing this confusion? For some of you, I feel like you're spinning around and you actually don't know where you're going. And that is very symbolic of transition, because we often get confused in transitions. We don't know what's left, what's right. What are we thinking? What are we feeling? Am I thinking there is what I'm thinking correct? Is what I'm feeling correct? In other words, we become mentally and emotionally often all over the place. So I feel like there is swings going on back and forth. Resist the need to force things to happen. And Of course, if you are in a position, let's say financially, where you need to freaking get a job, this ended, you need to leave because something didn't work and you need to get a job. Of course, me saying to you, resist the need to make something happen is going to be absurd. If you need to get a job, you need to get a job. However, if you need to get a job so that it can financially sustain you, but perhaps take the time as well to reconsider if what you are doing right now is something that you choose to pursue going forward, or is it time to move on to something different? And I feel this is more financial. Yes, it could relate to a relationship. In terms of a relationship, don't jump into a relationship, especially if you just ended one, because you haven't had enough time to reflect on what went wrong. And chances are, if you don't have enough time to reflect what went on, you will put yourself right smack back in the same position. And that could be, again, job, and it could be any situation. So if you can resist it, if you have the ability or possibility to not rush into anything, because you don't have to, I'm not saying you want to, but you don't have to, then do yourself a favor and stay committed to yourself first. In other words, ask yourself some important questions at the time. One of them is, who do I serve? Now that's an interesting question. Why would you ask that question? And I hear there are several meanings to that question. So I'm going to pose the question to you. And if this makes sense to you, situationally speaking, when you ask yourself the question, who do I serve? What does that mean to you? What does it mean to you? And observe what comes to you in terms of intuition, in terms of feelings, because I can interpret it one way, but you can interpret it various different ways. And I'm being asked not to speak about it anymore because this is for you to distinguish what comes to you intuitively speaking. I feel many of you are in the midst of tremendous change, but wonderful change. I also feel like a lot of you are coming out of hiding. You are coming out of your own little box, your own little shadow, or your own shadow. You're coming out of your shadows or somebody else's shadows, and you are reclaiming your own power. So perhaps the word proclamation, that's really what it means. At the end of the day, I see you holding this light in your hand, which to me represents, what is it? What is it supposed to mean, please? Freedom and choice. And you're looking at this light and you're holding it in your hands, which means you have the power to choose and decide, and you are releasing it to the universe as if to say, you had an intent and you released it. So if this is meant for you, if this message makes sense, take this time as an opportunity to see and decide if there is something different you would want out of life. For those of you who have left something behind, and particularly something that was regretful, know that whatever it was, it served its purpose, but you have outlived it. In other words, you have gained from it all you could, and it's time for you to move on. And your soul wants to grow. Your soul wants new experiences. We cling on to safety and security. And that, I mean, people stay in horrible relationships because they feel safe and secure, but they're really not. It's just their mind. You guys get the picture. So this is an important time for you to reflect. No time like the present, I'm being asked. If this is a relationship issue with you or a situation, then it's important to reflect on the relationships you've had in the past. Notice what the existing pattern is, and ask yourself this question: do I want to do better, or do I want to stay in being the same? Chances are, of course, you're going to say, I want something better, because generally if you said something different, I would be wondering what is up with you. So if that's the case, and chances are it is, then you need to ask yourself, what is it that is required of me to put myself in a better situation? What is required of me in order to attract that to me? And I will tell you one thing, and I'm kind of all over the place. This is not the time to listen to other people. I mean, yes, listen to other people, But if you are constantly going around and asking people for advice, then all you're doing is you're getting more confused, okay? Another message is, this is a time for you to listen to your intuition and not to ignore it. So if something has been nagging at you for quite some time, and you had thoughts of, oh, I should do this, or I should try this, or I should, and you're not listening, life is gonna kind of force things on you. Now you might say, what about free will? Well, you can always resist it. The universe will always align you with things that are best for you, even though you may not know what that is for you. Sometimes a difficult situation may appear for you in order to gain some valuable information or wisdom, to then use it later in a situation that is the perfect fit for you. As a matter of fact, I will say that all situations are perfect for us. That is not how we see it, but for our spiritual growth, all situations, particularly the ones that don't feel very good, are perfect for us, because there is something underneath this discomfort that we are trying to understand about ourselves from the point of view of our soul, or from a spiritual space, or place. So don't rush into any decisions in the month of February, if you can help it, and of course, if it's feasible for you. If you must make a choice or decision, then at least make one that will fulfill your needs at this point, but you promise to yourself that you will keep asking yourself, what is there for you? What might you want to try next? Perhaps a job has ended and maybe it was not the way you have intended it to end. And it's the universe's way of saying, hey, you've always said you want to travel. Well, now that you don't have this job, you have the opportunity to travel. And you're like, well, I need to make money. Yes, well, fine. Is there a way where you can make a living and travel at the same time, or make a living so that you have more time for travel? That's just a basic example that I'm being given just to make that point. So where is all this going? Again, very interesting, because it's all about your thoughts. Thank you. It's all about healing your thoughts, which is about healing your heart. All right. No, it's about addressing your thoughts to heal your hearts. Okay. Thank you. At the end of the day, this information is intended to help you bring yourself back to inner balance. When we are functioning from a space of stillness, it's not always possible, but when we can manage to come to a place of stillness and that be our status quo, then life gets much easier. We will always have moments where we're all over the place. That's just the way life is. But if your basic space, your status quo, is a place of some sort of stillness, generally speaking, you're doing pretty well. You're doing pretty good. So the Four of Swords shows up, which is, well, it's not rest. Let's face it. It is feeling slightly agitated. However, it is because I feel like you are going through some sort of reshuffling. It's like, you know, when something ends. And again, when I say ends, I'm not predicting anything will end. This has already happened or is in a process of happening. It's nothing new. When we leave a situation, particularly that has been long-standing, we are not used to thinking in new ways. And if we want something, if we want something new, we need to start to think differently, because it is our current thought process that has gotten to us to a certain situation. So I'm not surprised to see this. However, this is ultimately where this is leading you. Okay, so this is the Ace of Swords. Ace of Swords is all about new beginning. It's about clear thought. It's about the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords. That's what I'm being shown. It's about having clarity. It's about getting rid of the illusion of whatever you've been dealing with. And to get to this place, generally, you have to get through this first. Usually conflict transpires in our mind before we get clarity. That's generally how this goes. And so this is the expectation at the end of the day. New clarity, new thought, new idea. I really feel many of you are choosing to follow your own path. But for some of you, you may not know what that is yet, and that's okay. And how do you find out what your new path is? You follow your intuition. You follow your intuition is your power. At the end of the day, when you can trust your intuition and you can follow your intuition, you've won the lottery, as far as I'm concerned. Now, what might be tripping you up? This is actually quite interesting. So, homesickness is a message that to me always symbolizes a sense of alienation, not feeling at home, feeling misplaced or displaced. You see this, let's call it a person, is floating, and they're reaching to their home, but their home is not reachable. This is to do with safety, feeling safe and secure. And if you are all over the place, or if you are confused, you might feel this way, okay? So it comes up in a position of tripping you up because, well, it comes in a position of not tripping up, of yeah, what's tripping you up? So how do I want to address this? Just notice, if you have moments where you feel like you don't know where you belong, it's because you're going through a reshuffling process. It is normal to feel that way, and it's actually quite expected. Many of you are paving your own way, which means you had to have come out of a way, and now you're in the space in between. That can feel very uncomfortable and very, well, not secure. So just watch out for that. Also, know that if you have that feeling, if it happens, know that it is part of the process, and try your best not to wallow in it. To explain what I mean, I always say there is no such thing as good or bad emotion. Emotion simply is. Feeling simply is. There's no such thing as good or bad. It doesn't exist. What is good or bad is how we respond to what we feel, or how we respond to our emotions. So if you feel all over the place, or if you feel misplaced, if you feel like you're not grounded, if you feel like you don't know where your home base is, you might, for example, turn into things like overeating, like over drinking, like overspending, because that gives you a false sense of control and a false sense of security. So there's a bit of a warning here not to fall into outdated patterns, or patterns that ultimately don't serve you. So that's just a bit of FYI. Now, what might be working for you? This is really interesting. The listening in reverse came up. Normally when I see this message in reverse, it's telling me that someone is not paying attention, but that is not what I see here, because this is in a position of what is working for you. So what is working for you is that you are deaf to naysayers. When we are in a space of transition, particularly when it doesn't feel particularly stable. Transition never does, but we have, there's big transitions and small transitions. We often fall into the pattern of asking people for guidance and for advice. And although there's absolutely nothing wrong with that, that's what my work is. People come and ask me for guidance. Nothing wrong with that. However, when we get guidance, and it makes sense, and we don't follow it, and then we go and keep asking for guidance and keep hoping the answer is going to be different, that is not helpful, because all it does, it creates a sense of confusion. So that's one part of the message. Don't get too quick to go around and ask people what they think. Number one, they do not know what you feel inside, and even if you do tell them, chances are you don't quite know what you're feeling, because you're going through transition. So they're not going to be equipped to tell you what's really good for you, because simply they don't know. They don't have your chart or your blueprint, spiritual blueprint. Therefore, they don't know what's true for you. And their choice, their decision will be based on their own life and their own experience. So although there's nothing wrong with asking for advice, sometimes too much advice can actually hinder what you are trying to accomplish. And a lot of you are coming out of your own shell. You are coming out of your own safety box. You are coming out of your own, out of your old, outdated patterns. And people may say things to you that may make you want to go back to where you came from. So sometimes, just depends, but sometimes it can be counterproductive to what you're trying to achieve. Because if you are, let's say you left a job, or you transitioned out of a situation at work, or you left a marriage, or whatever it is, and let's say with work, you decide to go and create your own business, and you're unsure because, well, it's new. You don't know. You're not sure. That's quite normal. That's why you're experiencing, a bit of confusion. You feel displaced. You're not sleeping very well. But at the end of the day, you have this amazing idea. And let's say you want to go pursue your own business, and you ask friends for advice, and they go, yeah, no, you shouldn't do it. No, it's too insecure, and there's no money in the world. You'll never make money. I mean, yes, be smart, but always remember, no one is privy to your path but you. If your intuition is very strong and it's tugging at you and saying, hey, follow me, then I want you to have deaf ears when it comes to naysayers. Okay? Be diligent in your thoughts and do your research, but don't be dissuaded by people who live in their own comfort zones. If you are asking people for advice who are brave and have taken risks and learned from it, but they stepped out of their shell, then yeah, ask them for advice. But if people are giving you advice and they're in their own little boxes and they're secure in their little jobs and they're secure in a little unhealthy relationship, those are not the people to ask advice for, because they're going to give you advice based on their current situation. Last but not least, actually several things. Soul Retrieval is a message that says, clinging to old ways is not going to work anymore. So the Soul Retrieval message is all about how we deny ourselves, how we reject ourselves, how we separate ourselves from ourselves. This is about integration. And this is about not clinging to your old ways. If you have left something that wasn't serving you, that was completely out of whack, symbolically speaking, don't go back to the same situation, because chances are you're going to end up in the same situation you ended up before or earlier. So there's a very, very, very strong message that says, do not cling to your old patterns. You have outlived you have outlived your skin, and it's now time to move on. And again, that's the idea of transition and the idea of rebirth, of death and rebirth, of soul rebirth. In order to be reborn, we first must die. So again, I'm looking at the star, 18, right? And that's letting go. Huge, 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 huge time for many of you to release yourself from your own internal prison. And that's about thoughts. Brand new beginning. This is fantastic. This may not appear to you in the month of February. You may see it in the next few months. Certainly, I want to say by fall of this year, this is where majority of you will end up with either a very clear mind or a new idea. New idea usually leads to action. New idea usually leads to action. Now, last but not least, coming to life is a message that says, whatever is happening, there is something beautiful that is being born on the sidelines. And you may not see what that is yet because it's still in a process of coming into fruition. The 2 is number of decisions, and the 9 is about letting go. And what I want to say with this message is, let go of the need to control everything. That is not the message with this card, but that's what I'm getting as this message, okay? This lady who is dancing on the air, she seems to have a magic power. She's, oh, here we go. She's holding this ball. Did I say that to you at the beginning? I think I did. So clearly she has power. She can create whatever she wants. Notice the butterfly here, and there's a lot of yellow around this butterfly. This is all about creativity. And butterfly is symbolic for rebirth. So many of you are being, there's a creative aspect being born inside of you. And that can turn into a new relationship. It can turn into brand new careers, brand new jobs, brand new way of expressing your individuality. Something great is happening. 2 and 9, incidentally, is 11. Well, what is justice? This is the other side. This is 11. So this is coming back to balance. And I feel like this is this beautiful completion here that's happening. Many of you are meant to walk your own paths. You're not meant to walk in somebody else's shoes. You are meant to be your own creators in terms of your life and your reality. So if that is you, stop clinging on to something that is old and outdated. Whether it's your family's belief system, whether it's your belief system, but it's old. Whatever it is, this can transpire, it can come up in various different ways. This is all symbolic. But make no mistake, there is something brand new that is trying to come out. I'm being shown the symbol of an egg. To me, this symbolizes the process of birth, but the birth hasn't happened yet. I'm going to call it the process of gestation, where a child is conceived and it's not born. The space between conception and birth is the process of gestation. You would not rush nature by saying, hey, bring the winter, push the winter away or bring the summer quicker. Nature has her own course. Her Mother Nature is on her own timeline. So the message here is, again, try not to rush into anything if you can help it. And if you can't, at least make yourself a commitment that you will follow up with your intuition while you are tending to your needs. Hugely important. I also feel that whatever this is for you, for those of you who this makes sense to, sometimes we get these once in a lifetime opportunities where the universe creates this space. And during that space, tremendous possibilities can come to life because the energy that you are in is very fertile. This also means that some of you may conceive a child. Now, if you are one of those individuals or couples who have been trying for quite some time, take the pressure off of you. Oftentimes, when the pressure is off, it just happens because our body relaxes, our spirit relaxes, and it doesn't feel like a chore. Anything that feels like a chore, naturally, humans tend to resist. So that's a message that came through for some of you. Obviously, it's not going to be for all of you. Is there anything else that I need to say to them? Pay attention to your feelings, but don't let your feelings dictate your life. So that's a great great way to distinguish the different spaces. Again, there's no such thing as bad or good feeling. They may be uncomfortable, but feeling is never good or bad. Feeling simply is. It tells you where you're at. It's what you do with this feeling that then becomes either good or problematic. So when the message says pay attention to your feelings, it's acknowledge what you feel. Acknowledge what you feel. Let's say you feel sad. Okay, acknowledge that you feel sad. You feel sad for blah, 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 whatever reason. Sometimes you may feel sad and you may not even know why. You're going through a transition and a whole bunch of stuff is going to come up and you're going to feel sad. Resist the need to want to fix it. In other words, you might want to explore why you're sad, but it's more important for you just to allow yourself to feel it, almost observe it, without trying to fix it, deny it, or do anything about it. Sometimes it's just about going through the feeling of being sad. That is an important part of your experience. That's why we're here. We're not here to understand. We already have an understanding. We're here to have a felt perception, which is having a lived experience. And wisdom can only come from a lived perception, from a thought that is put into experience. And I think that's how I'm gonna leave with you, or what I'm gonna leave with you. It feels amazing for me. It feels a little bit scary, but it only feels scary because it's new, and it feels huge for some of you. This is huge, and I feel it's gonna transpire later on this year for some of you. Maybe the month of October is going to mean something for you guys. You guys don't have. No, you don't. You're August. You're summer babies. Again, remember, most of us are in transitions. You're no different. If something has left you, it's because you're not supposed to be there anymore. If that's the case, take this opportunity to ask yourself, what do I want to do now? What do I choose to experience now that's different? And then whatever that is for you, follow up with the question, what is required for me in order to get myself closer to that step? And then take the baby steps. And that's beyond the scope of this video. But if you would like to connect with me and speak about your private situation, of course, that information was down for you and I would be honored. Thank you so much for listening, for sharing, for liking, for subscribing. I always say this is a general message and it may not make sense to you at the beginning. I guarantee you it'll make sense to probably 98% of you over the next few weeks or few months. I've come to the conclusion that I've seen it so many times that I just trust it. So congratulations to wherever you are. It feels like, although it may not feel great, there's something beautiful happening at the end of this. Trust your intuition. Listen to your intuition and trust it. Your intuition will never, ever, ever chuck you under the bus. You may confuse your intuition with your fear. Now, that's different. But if you recognize your intuition, that is your greatest ally. That is your greatest gift. That is the genie in a bottle. That's a beautiful way of saying it. Thank you. You're welcome. All right. Thank you so much once again. I wish you a wonderful month of February. Take care of yourself. Happy Valentine's and see you soon.